Hi, it's John, and welcome to the channel, 6:50 a.m., Wednesday, July the 23rd, with the big blue mug of coffee. I hope you're having a great start to your Wednesday. I certainly am. I appreciate you being here very much. So I don't want to be reactionary when I watch videos when something is happening. There are a lot of people online that are doing that. Moose on the Loose, Jasmine Lane, there are others as well. I like to kind of digest what's happened and comment on it later. And today I want to talk about the Premier's meeting. They're meeting in Muskoka. Carney showed up. Muskoka, if you don't know and haven't been in Ontario, it's where the millionaires go to play in central Ontario. Beautiful area. It's where the powers that be go to decide your fate and actually accomplish nothing. I'm going to hammer most of the premiers here today. I'm going to be a little lighter on Western premiers like Danielle Smith and Scott Moe, but I'm going to hammer them a little bit because I watch these things happen and I don't see anything being accomplished. And I was thinking about that this morning. Why is nothing getting accomplished? You probably thought about this, and you probably have already thought about the solution I was thinking about this morning. And that's why I think this channel is a little bit different, because I have a different solution and I'm not afraid to say what other people are thinking. And I think somebody, a premier, needs to come out and say what I'm thinking today, and you have probably thought. Nothing gets done. There was a premier's meeting back in December last year, remember? They talked about border security, the tariffs. I'm not letting Donald Trump off the hook here, folks. I'm not. Okay, I'm not doing that. I want to focus on what's happening here in Canada and my province of Alberta. But we had a meeting back in December. And then there was a meeting of the premiers with Trudeau in January where nothing got done. Well, the only person who didn't show up in January, I think, was Danielle Smith. She was at Mar-a-Lago being diplomatic and actually got oil and gas tariffs dropped down to 10%. So of all the time that this has been going on since, I think, November, when Trump actually talked about tariffs, the only person to accomplish anything is Danielle Smith. Your Team Canada, the rest of the country, has accomplished nothing. Team Canada is a joke. It accomplishes nothing. And we hear the same thing over and over again. There was a Western premier's meeting back in the spring, maybe early summer. There might have been another premier's meeting along the way, and then we have one in Muskoka, and the same thing's being discussed again. And I wake up this morning and think, why is nothing getting done? Why do we keep hearing the same thing over and over again? Deja vu over and over again. Yogi Berra, I think, said that. Nothing gets accomplished. I mean, this goes back much further than Donald Trump and tariffs in November. I'm going to get to that in just a moment. But why is nothing getting done? It's because people get in the way. And those people that are in the way need to be eliminated. Let me put it to you this way. You live on a commune. And everybody in a commune has to work together so everybody can succeed. So you plant the seeds in the ground, you tend to the plants, you water them, you fertilize them, you harvest them, you make the food, you feed everybody, but there's one person on the commune who doesn't want to do that. They want to sit on their butt all day and benefit from everybody else's hard work. What would you say to that person? Would you not get together as a group and say, listen, man, you can't continue to do nothing and benefit from everybody else's hard work. If you continue to do that, you're going to have to leave and you will be cut off. I think that's what we need to do with the people who are getting in the way of the prosperity of your country of Canada and my province of Alberta. This has been going on for years, folks. I hear the same thing. The same thing was trotted out yesterday from Danielle Smith. The same thing trotted out from Doug Ford. The same thing trotted out from Scott Moe. I got a picture here of them standing. They're happy as can be about a thing that they agreed on yesterday. But this goes way back. Let me take you back to 2019. There was a different premier in Alberta at the time. The same premier in Ontario talking about the same thing. And the reason nothing gets done is because people keep getting in the way. And that's from the federal government and other places in this country and groups as well. Watch this.
Albertans have done so much to share our prosperity with the rest of Canada, but we need to be able to get a fair price for our resources. That means pipelines. And Doug, that's why we have to work together to oppose the federal government's No More Pipelines Bill C-69.
Well, we appreciate your support, and we're going to work shoulder to shoulder with you, fighting against this, the worst tax Canada has ever seen, the carbon tax, and we will be beside you fighting Bill C-69.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
That was from 2019, and the same thing's being discussed right now. And it gets discussed every time they have one of these meetings and nothing happens. Danielle Smith trots out yesterday and said this.
And if Prime Minister Mark Carney doesn't want to work with us, it's not just myself and Scott Moe he'll have to worry about. He'll also have to contend with Premier Doug Ford, who has said many times he'll be all over him like an 800-pound gorilla. So it's time to get rid of the bad laws that have harmed Canada's ability to grow the energy sector and other industries such as mining and manufacturing. By now, you should all know these bad laws that I speak of quite well. Bill C-69, the oil and gas emissions cap, the tanker ban, the net zero vehicle, and net zero electricity mandates. Removing these anti-resource, anti-development laws will allow Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Ontario to attract the investment and project partners we need to get shovels in the ground, grow industries, and create jobs.
I mean, Doug Ford talked about this. He's been talking about this for months. Bill C-69. Scott Moe's been talking about this. Smith goes on and on and on about C-69. I'm not going to play the clip for you again. I played it 100 times on this channel. Mark Carney says he won't get rid of Bill C-69. We've got Bill C-48 as well. Here's a picture of Moe, Ford, and Danielle Smith. The Stronger Pipeline Pact spans 3 provinces. Where's David Eby here? He happens to be the Premier of British Columbia. We need to get a pipeline to the coast so we can get it on boats so they can take our oil and gas somewhere else in the country. Where is he? He's in the way, folks. And he needs to be eliminated. Or he needs to be told to get on board or we're going to start cutting you off. And that's what somebody needs to say. Danielle Smith needs to draw a line. Doug Ford needs to draw a line. Scott Moe standing there holding this thing up needs to draw a line. Get on board or you don't benefit from the work of everybody else in this country because you're getting in the way. Here's David Eby on CKNW, Vancouver, July 2nd, Mike Smythe Show. Little clip of him. Here's what they had to say about Eby on how he's holding back this country and he's holding back my province of Alberta.
That's why we support the existing oil tanker ban.
We support the tanker ban. At the same time, he's saying he's willing to talk about a pipeline. Heather, does this make any sense to you?
Well, it certainly won't make sense to an investor. And you have to appreciate, we know, Trans Mountain was $34 billion, went way over budget. But this pipeline would probably be in the neighborhood of $20 or so billion. And so if you're, Enbridge or South Bow or some company that has to go raise this, you can't go raise $20 billion when you don't know if BC is going to be supportive or not, because an unsupported BC is going to add billions and billions of dollars to costs. So it does seem, if you're not supportive of it, if David Eby is not supportive of it, then he might as well be opposed to it because he's poisoning the well for any ability to attract investment.
There won't be any investment until they get these people out of the way. David Eby is in the way. Here's the article from the National Post yesterday. Carney says he'll only take best deal from U.S. as premiers disagree over retaliation. And he said he doesn't want to rush into anything. You need to rush, Mr. Carney. They're about to drop 700 more jobs from GM in Ontario. And by the way, those jobs that were cut the first time are now in the United States. But I move on. What did David Eby say? In this article, British Columbia Premier David Eby reiterated after the meeting with Carney that he would not speculate on the possibility of having a new oil pipeline to the BC northern coast because there is currently no planned project and no proponent of the idea that he is aware of. If Premier Smith can cross that hurdle of identifying a proponent and an actual project, then let's have that conversation, he said. There will be no investment as long as David Eby, C-48 and C-69 are in the way. What do you do about these people who are in the way? And this goes the same for Quebec. David, get on board. You can't prosper in this country and be part of the prosperity if you're in the way. We'll start cutting your healthcare transfers until you get out of the way. And I think the same needs to be said to Aboriginal groups. You benefit greatly by the taxpayers of Canada. We are your benefactors. But you hold us back. You hold my province of Alberta back. And somebody needs to say it. This is the only reason things are stalled right now, because people are in the way and they need to be removed and stop being obstructionist. Now, what do you do about Mark Carney? What do you do about Mark Carney, who's the number one guy in the way? He loves this. He's fine with this. I believe that 100%. Energy superpower. We know what he's all about. What do you do about him? Jeff Rath. I had him on my channel here. Go watch the video. Alberta Prosperity Project showed up at one of Danielle Smith's Alberta Next. And he had the solution to this when it comes to the federal government. Here's Jeff.
My name's Jeffrey Rath. I'm from Foothills, Alberta. So, Premier, the first thing I wanted to say with the greatest of respect, when you say there's no legal mechanism to stop sending taxes to Ottawa and collecting 100% of the taxes in Alberta, with the greatest respect, you're incorrect. The legal mechanism is Section 1, Sub 3 of the Clarity Act, and that's voting Alberta the hell out of Canada on a clear question.
Mr. Eby in British Columbia, Mr. Legault in Quebec, Aboriginal groups, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. As long as you're in the way, we're going to cut you off. You're off the commune. And I think that's what needs to be done. Or nothing will get done. Tell me what you think. Have yourself a great day. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. For goodness sakes, what are you waiting for? Click on subscribe. I'll ring the bell for notifications, and I'll see you in the next one.